Welcome to the November 27th, 2023 meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. We'll have an invocation offered by Commissioner Waddington, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
God our Father, as we gather for the meeting this evening, give us the guidance and wisdom to make the proper decisions. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Byers, you call the roll.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Pajali?
Here.
Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Meinzer? Mr. Poole?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
May I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Meinzer?
So moved. Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, Mr. Meinzer is excused. Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of November the 13th, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajali.
I move that we accept the minutes of the November 13th meeting as presented.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Those minutes are approved. We have the pleasure of swearing in a new firefighter this evening. Mr. Warzak, will you do us the honor?
Sir.
Cameras here, you can move around and take one of the pictures or video one. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Miguel Tackett, recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I, Miguel Tackett, recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the state of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the state of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
Congratulations.
Good job. Chief, do you have some background?
Yeah, I have a little bit for you. Through you, Commission President, to the Commissioners. Miguel's a graduate of Sandusky High School, and he currently resides in the city of Sandusky. He received his 240-hour fire certification and his EMT certification at Ehovie. Prior to being hired full-time by the City of Sandusky Fire Department, he worked part-time for Perkins Township and Bayview Fire Departments. During high school, Miguel actually was a member of the Sandusky Fire Department Explorers, where he took part in many training sessions throughout that time and many public events. He's going to be on number 3 shift under the direction of Captain Jim Green, and we'd just like to say congratulations to Miguel and welcome to the City of Sandusky.
Excellent, congratulations. And I think you guys know the drill. You don't have to stick around for the next 2 hours.
Is there a fire somewhere?
That's what it always looks like.
Any residents with comments regarding tonight's agenda, please step to the podium and share with us your name and address and your agenda comments. We'd ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Sue Doherty with Serving Our Seniors. And I just wanted to thank the Commission and the City of Sandusky staff for the work that it's been doing to bring about the use of Osborne School and turn it into affordable housing. If there's anything that Serving Our Seniors can do to be of assistance in supporting this endeavor, I do hope that the city will contact us. We are a very strong proponent of affordable housing, not just for those who are fortunate enough to have a voucher, but also for those who don't qualify. So my sincere thanks on behalf of Serving Our Seniors to all of you for the work that you've put into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. On the many conversations that I've had with you, I cannot recall one that you've not lobbied me on senior housing. So it's taken a while, but I hope it's working.
Thank you.
Additional comments from the audience on agenda items?
Greetings, everyone. Tom Lamarca, 206 48th Street. To follow up on the comments regarding the Osborne School purchase. In the interest of transparency, that seems to have happened rather quickly. I mean, I think I'm aware of many things that are happening in the city, but that one happened kind of like overnight. And then the city immediately had a purchaser lined up, which again was kind of nice in that it's a group from Columbus. However, there's no transparency there when you buy a building and then you have your buyer lined up and no one knows about it until the ink is signed by everyone and no notice is given. I am also concerned about the fact that there's only, according to the documents I read, 4 units reserved for the lower income, I'll say the lower income senior citizen that's going to be occupying that building. And I thought the intent was to provide more housing for senior citizens or 55 age and up that might be a little short in the deep pockets, meaning they don't have a lot of money. So I'm wondering where 4 units versus 20 units and all that comes into play.
Thank you, Mr. Lamarca. Additional comments?
Yes, good evening. Tim Schwanger, 362 Sheffield Way. I have questions on 3 different items. Item number 1 is item C on the consent agenda, which is an easement for city property at Coal Creek Crossings. It seems to me that someone in the past had wanted to do something with the reserve, what they call the reserve area there, and I think they were turned down. Is this a situation where somebody's asking for forgiveness instead of permission ahead of time? Item number 3, which is the Economic Development Fund for What the Fried Rice, that's $15,000 for 186 East Market Street. I think that's the former location of Leah's Kitchen. We all want downtown businesses to survive. I guess my question is, if this business goes in and does not survive, what happens to the equipment that this business is purchasing? Does it stay with the building? Does it go with the business? Last item is the $750,000 for the Osborne School project. When we get to that point, can somebody make, in today's dollars, a number for 65 below and 50% below the area median income? Is there a dollar figure that we can calculate today what that would be in today's, if the project was done today, what would the rental rates be? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Additional comments from the public on agenda items? Commissioners, you have before you several communications from staff recommending various pieces of legislation. Can I have a motion to accept these communications?
So moved.
Second.
Then a motion and a second. Without objection, the motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 6 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do any of you wish to move any of these items to the regular agenda? Ms. Myers, you present the regular agenda.
Yes, Mr. President. Item
Excuse me,
A.
present the consent agenda.
Approval of budget and appropriation amendment number 7. Item B, approval of insurance agreement with Reinhardt Walters Danner. Item C, approval of easement at 708 Cold Creek Boulevard. Item D, approval of 2024 EMS maintenance agreement with Stryker. Item E, approval of agreement for Sandusky City Schools resource officers. Item F, approval of STS dispatching software renewal with Foxter Opco.
Commissioners, having heard these ordinances, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Brady.
I move for the approval of these ordinances under Section 14 of the city's charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Brady.
I had to also look at the question of the easement, and it was in fact a case of someone asking for forgiveness for a mistake made quite a long time ago that was discovered upon the proposed sale of the residence. So I thought it was appropriate under all the circumstances. Thank you.
Additional discussion, Commissioner. Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Now on the ordinance.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Those ordinances are passed. Turn to our regular agenda. Ms. Myers, if you present item number 1, please.
It is requested a resolution declaring the necessity for the city to proceed with the proposed 2024 replacement of 2 condensing units and installation of control units for the City of Sandusky Service Center project, approving the specifications and engineer's estimate of costs thereof, and directing the city manager to advertise for and receive bids in relation thereto, and declaring that this resolution shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this resolution, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this resolution under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Klein, this equipment's just plain worn out, or will return to me? Sounds like it should be you, but it's not.
It's actually not. Through the commission president to the commissioners, I'll speak on behalf of my colleague Jason Whirling, who's on a well-deserved vacation about this matter. City building maintenance crews have found that the original condensing units that were installed at the time of the renovation of the facility in 1999 have well exceeded their useful life. So this is the request for permission to bid for the 2 replacement units of those of the condensing units for the City of Sandusky Service Center.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions, Commissioner? Mr. Myers, you call roll on the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
And now on the resolution.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
That resolution is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 3, please.
It is requested a resolution be passed declaring the necessity for the city to proceed with the proposed 2024 Boy with the Boot cast iron pipe lining project, approving the specifications and engineer's estimate of costs thereof, and directing the city manager to advertise for and receive bids in relation thereto, and declaring that this resolution shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this resolution, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I move for the adoption of this resolution under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
And now on the resolution.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Ms. Myers, you present item number 3, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing C, also known as What the Fried Rice, in relation to the property located at 186 East Market Street, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Murray.
move for the adoption of this ordinance pursuant to Section 14 of the city's charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman, What is the answer to the question of how far back the clawbacks extend or paybacks? We've made some mistakes over the years with things getting away from us and property being either lost or damaged or stolen or sold or all sorts of things like that. So what happens in this instance?
In this instance, I'm sorry, through the commission president to the commissioner, in this instance, I don't believe there are clawbacks within our grant agreements. It is, I believe if the project were to fail, the equipment would stay with the project. If things had to be liquidated because the business went out or the business failed, it would likely be sold to pay back any debts. This is a grant, however, so there are no clawbacks.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. This $141,000, it says build out and equipment. Would you break it down between the two?
Sure. Give me one moment. There are costs associated with this that include equipment in the amount of $7,400 to Kitchenall, which is, there's an extensive list of different items that I can share with you. Walks, natural gas walks.
Excuse me,
Yes.
just the totals.
Okay.
Equipment for one, build out the other.
Okay, equipment in the amount of $7,400. There's a $30,000 line item as well as a $12,000 line item, and then a point of sale system, which is about $8,000. The rest is all related to construction. I can do the math for you.
That's $7,000 for equipment to start with, $7,400, $8,000 for point of sale. Out of
$7,495 for walk equipment, an expense to Wolverine Sushi Bar, which is a variety of different equipment items in the amount of $30,000.
So that's equipment, so we're now at 37 in equipment. Keep going.
37, and then there's additional specialty store services, which is equipment within the facility, which is another $12,000, and then a point of sale system for about $8,000.
37, 50, 58. Out of 141, 58 is...
Roughly 58, yes.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajano?
it's been my contention for some time that we shouldn't be giving away grant money, that we should either give a 0% interest that's paid back at the time the building transfers or the business transfers, or maybe there's, in this case where you're buying equipment, maybe there's a 5-year provision where if they don't stay in business for 5 years, we get our money back. And I think that's a much better approach than our grant approach.
Mr. Chairman, I agree. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. I'm not for giving grant money for equipment that leaves with the business. Because, see, there's no reason they even have to stay, whether it's successful or not. So the build-out we could talk about, or we could do just as Mr. Pajali's mentioned, redo this and put a time limit on it that says we can forgive it if we wish. It's not a lot of money, but the idea here is how we're going to do business in the future that makes better business sense. It has nothing to do with this amount of money is insignificant, and I hope they're going to be successful, but we're trying to get control of the way we spend our money as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Murray?
I'm inclined to agree. As the city has become more successful and we've attracted more investment, we have raised the bar in terms of what it is that we're willing to support. Now there is an absolute requirement that there be proof that the funds are needed. And I think something along the lines that Mr. Pajali suggested perhaps paired with a purchase money security interest so that we have first lien on certain equipment, should there be a failure. It's something we should look at. I am concerned, however, that there are a lot of different dynamics here. A lender may be looking at the situation saying that the grant is a critical component of the business or the institution's willingness to make a loan. So my suggestion will be, and at the end of this, I'm going to move to table so that we have an opportunity to look at some additional options. I'm not foreclosing the possibility that we would do an outright grant because that's what's necessary under the circumstances. I'm not sure that we are comfortable as a body making this decision at this point in time. So I'm going to move to table.
Second. Been a motion and a second. And discussion.
It's a non-debatable.
Non-debatable point. Ms. Myers, you call roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
That piece of legislation is set on the table.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
I think we're allowed to speak to it after we've done it. Just want to pass the staff, from my position, this isn't about not wanting to do this deal at all. It's a matter of going forward, we're trying to get control of our money, as I said, and the person involved with this, just, you can work out anyone, as far as I'm concerned. Several things have been presented, but that give you an idea of the direction we need to go, that we need to have, at least for the taxpayers to show that we're taking an interest in how we spend their money. Some concept of it, a 5-year or whatever you want to do it. I'm not going to be picky about the terms when you come up, but we need some terms that show some good faith on the part of the person participating, and rather than just, that's it.
Understood.
That's my thoughts.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajali.
I voted to table, but I guess in this case, I would have voted to approve this because it's kind of a card laid is a card played, right? I mean, we've given these grants out to all these other people, and we're going to stop this one just because we found a time to talk about this situation, but the action's already been taken. I just wanted to explain my position.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Sure.
Yeah, just so the commission is aware, Mrs. Gilson has been working on both the business grants and the housing beautification. We're working on guidelines for next year, which are, we're going to be making recommendations that are significantly different than the way we've been doing business, to Commissioner Murray's point. So Ms. Gilson has been diligently working on that. I just want all of you aware of that it's something that she's been taking the task and putting a lot of time in. So,
Commissioner Pajali and I have had several discussions on this issue over the last 6 months or so, and I think it was our concept that we would revisit the grant, how grants were handled going forward. I too didn't think this would happen at the table in the middle of a commission meeting, in the middle of a grant application that has been in place now for several years, and now all of a sudden we've decided that we want to go a different direction. Perhaps this could have been, perhaps it could have been handled more appropriately between us and with staff. And I regret that, regret that we're tabling this item. It's kind of like changing gears in midstream, which I think may be unfair to the applicant. He applied in good faith on a grant application that we developed. So now all of a sudden we're saying in the middle of legislation that we want to rethink our position, which we certainly can do that at any point in time, but hopefully we can consider this again and untable this and move forward at some point in time.
Mr. Chairman? Just in general, I see no reason you should not be able to work out something within the next 2 weeks between now and the next meeting. So this is just a minute delay. And I do understand, and I kind of feel bad because, yes, this is kind of out of the clear blue for you. But, Mr. Chairman, this is about what you're just seeing as transparency. The concept of the
process that you envisioned is less transparent than this one, and is just, it's unfortunate, and I feel bad that the applicant came into the middle of this, but we're making a change in the way business can be done.
Ms. Barnes, do you present the next item on the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. It is requested an ordinance be passed declaring that certain real property owned by the city located at 920 West Osborne Street, the former Osborne Elementary School, and identified as parcel number 58-65001 is no longer needed for any municipal purpose, and authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a real estate purchase agreement to sell the designated real property to Community Building Partners, LLC, for the purpose of the development of affordable senior housing, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this number 1 ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
A motion and a second discussion. Ms. Byers, you call the roll on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ordinance number 1, if that piece of legislation is passed, Ms. Byers, you present ordinance number 2 of that piece of legislation.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a sub-grant agreement with Community Building Partners, LLC, relating to the use of American Rescue Plan Act stimulus funds for the renovation of real property located at 920 West Osborne Street in the amount of $750,000, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance pursuant to Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. I believe there was a question from the public regarding, I'm certain what the question was, regarding this, how does the $750,000 apply to the rental factor? What is the rental factor in this, Ms. Gilson, do you have an idea of how to answer that?
Actually, we have the developer here with us today and would like the opportunity for him to address the commission, if he would. If I could begin with some comments. Thank you, Mr. President, and through the chair to all commissioners. Today, we are seeking your approval for the sale of the building, and so thank you for that, at 920 West Osborne, as well as a sub-grant agreement allocating ARPA funds to Community Building Partners, LLC, for the development of this property. A month ago, I shared that our goal was to be back before this body with additional detail on how best to bring the redevelopment of the building at 920 West Osborne to fruition. I shared our intention to return the vacant building to productive use as senior housing. Former school buildings lend themselves well to reuse. Classrooms are usually appropriately sized for 1 to 2 bedroom apartments, which meets the needs of most 55-plus renters. They have large windows to create beautiful light-filled spaces with tall ceilings. They have common areas that provide places for fellowship, activity, and services. Osborne School is ripe with these features. Former school buildings are also places that have tremendous meaning and value to people who live in surrounding community. They may have attended the school, or their children did. They may have taught there. They may have provided cross-guarding, tutoring, or mentoring services. Schools, in many cases, are the heart and soul of neighborhoods. A dormant school, however, can quickly become an impediment to a community's vitality. Redeveloping these buildings will stabilize and often increase property values because of the large investment and activity they bring to bear. In a moment, you'll hear from my colleague, Aaron Blair, Chief Planner, about this project concept. Following Aaron, we are pleased to introduce Joe Recchi, founder and CEO of Community Building Partners. Redevelopment of this scale is not easy. It's quite complex. It requires patience couched with creativity and vision. It must be done with sensitivity, respect, and engagement with those living in the area that the subject property is surrounded by. It requires experience. Community Building Partners brings those skills, background, and commitment to community development, and we're grateful to have them as a partner in this endeavor. At this time, I'm pleased to bring Aaron Blair, a longtime advocate for this project, to speak about this special place.
Thanks, Ms. Gilson. We're excited to bring this project forward to you, not only be good stewards in preserving our landmark structures in the city, but also to bring forward a collection of high-quality new units for residents, specifically for aging adults in the community. And we did just some research to help us visualize what a conversion might look like from a school property to apartments. Obviously, this building is unique. That's why historic preservation is so cool, and I get so excited about it. But people might be thinking, like, well, how do you turn a school into apartments? We have a few examples just from other places to take a look. So this is Everett's Hill, which is in Circleville, Ohio, and you can really see how all that natural light comes in from a historic structure because they tend to have really high ceilings. Osborne certainly does, and beautiful hardwood details. This is Oxford Place in Canton, Ohio. There's a big community open space. So a lot of the hallways and places where students were gathering become places for communities to gather for residents inside these buildings. This is the Longfellow in Cleveland, Ohio. It's actually a mixed project where they readapted the old school building, and then next door on an athletic field, they built brand new units as one project. This is the Riverview at Clendenin School. It's in West Virginia, and it was turned into 18 affordable housing units. And all of those are from various developers and various means of having gone from the school to the housing. It's just a visualization of what some old school buildings that have been turned into housing look like. This is Thurgood Marshall, and Mr. Recchi will actually speak a little bit more on this one, I believe. It is ongoing in pre-development in Toledo, Ohio right now, and they are looking at 88 senior affordable apartments. And you can see from the floor plan how each classroom lends itself very nicely to a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment building. They already have plumbing going to them like Osborne does. And we just thought it would be valuable to bring just a little bit of imagery to this conversation today. So that brings us to our development partner in this project, Community Building Partners, and I will invite Mr. Joe Recchi to introduce his practice and this project in greater detail.
Welcome.
There we go.
Good evening, and thank you for having me today. I'm excited about this project. We've been looking at it and studying it for 2.5 years. We started looking at the prospect of developing attainable or affordable housing for seniors in the community, and searched in general, and then found the Osborne School and thought it would be highly adaptable. So we're continuing in that effort. I wanted to share a little bit about my company, Community Building Partners. I've been doing this, I'm an attorney by training, but I've done this in conjunction with nonprofits around the country, primarily in Ohio. And the Thurgood Marshall School is maybe an example of that close by in Toledo. Let me see if I can just move through this. So we're focused on community-centered economic development. We've done over 400 grants successfully around the country, utilizing all of the tools that are now available for housing. So the federal historic credit, the state historic credit, which are things that we would be seeking to use on this project. We've used the low-income housing tax credit incorporating tax-exempt bonds. We've used the competitive program. We have gotten grants from the Federal Home Loan Bank, the Affordable Housing Program, and they tend to be layered in such a way to reduce the operating cost or the cost of the project so you can have a greater level of affordability. The current proposal has a minimum, that's sort of the minimum threshold of affordable units, but we would be hoping to build on that by utilizing these other sources. They are competitive, and we have been successful in competing for them. So the ideal arrangement would be 100% affordability. All of this is committed long-term with land use restrictive covenants, so there's not a situation where a promise is made and then pulled back, or in each of these cases the affordability is committed in a restrictive covenant, and that is actionable by the city or by others. If we utilize for instance, the affordable housing program with the Federal Home Loan Bank, they insist on a separate restrictive covenant so that they can enforce it. So keeping that in mind, there's a lot of guardrails in the program. There's a high level of compliance, audit, and inspection. Everything we do is cost certified by third-party accounting, and then everything we do has annual audits. All of that information is available to the city on an ongoing basis. So we called this a time capsule, but we're actually up in the attic on the large chimneys that go up through the building were inscribed, handwritten notes, signatures of the school, the teachers, the aides, everybody that was involved in the school before it was closed with the date. And there were probably 75 signatures up in the attic. So it's just a reminder of how impactful this school has been in the community. So we're focusing on age restriction. We really want to complement the senior housing with service enrichment. We've worked with the Area Agency on Aging. In fact, the Area Office on Aging Northwest, headquartered in Toledo and covering this area, is our partner in Toledo. So they're both a partner, a financial partner in the project, and they're also providing service enrichment. We don't have that arrangement in place yet, but we would definitely offer that in a package as we go through this process to the Area Agency on Aging. So the renovation anticipated, as Aaron described earlier, these classroom buildings adapt very well to 1- and 2-bedroom units. So if you think of the original floor plan of the Osborne School, all of that would be observed, which makes it much easier to meet the National Park Service standards if you're not disturbing the original architectural detail. And the property is rich with the architectural detail. It has been stewarded by the city, by the school system extremely well, even compared to the other examples. To have so much of the architectural, the millwork, the doors, the transoms, all the staircase, handrails, all of that beautifully detailed, all of it intact. And you can imagine how expensive that would be to replace if it were not intact and meeting the National Park Service standards. That's really important because if the costs became too extreme, you wouldn't be able to make it affordable housing. It would be reserved for others. So this is a case where the stewardship makes possible adaptation. As for a timeline, we kind of sketched this out. It's actually in the grant purchase agreement. We'd be starting with a purchase agreement. We'd execute the purchase and financing plan in the spring of 2024. We're competing for other funding, so we would be submitting to the state of Ohio under their competitive state historic credit program. With the federal historic credit program is not a competition. It's by right once you have gone through the steps, and we've done this many times. So in that competition, we'd have the financing secured by the beginning of the fourth quarter or in the fourth quarter of 2024. We'd begin construction early in 2025 and complete the work by the end of 2025. That is our game plan, and part of that is driven by the need for the funds to be dispersed and utilized using the ARP program by the end of 2026. Neighborhood engagement is really important in what we do, and I've heard comments about that. I know that it's important to the city to have that engagement. We've done it typically at the property or near the property, inviting comments in, showing plans, sharing ideas, and responding. So it's not just taking a finished product and delivering it, but we'd love to show the building, including the plan for the building, and gain acceptance from the neighbors. Among the things that were negotiated was there's a playground there, and the playground is in good shape, so we would want to continue the use of that playground for the neighborhood. There's no reason to take it apart. There's plenty of space that could be green space for the seniors on what was the remainder of the playground or paved area. So there's the ability to maintain that connection. An intergenerational connection is really valuable. I'm a senior. Seniors love kids. So that's just another amenity for the neighborhood and also for the seniors. The Thurgood Marshall project is really a case in point because it involves several partners. NeighborWorks Toledo is active in the neighborhood. The Area Office on Aging is providing senior services. Lucas Metropolitan Housing came in. They saw our proposal for project-based assistance, which is a long-term Section 8 contract, and asked to participate as a partner. So it now has 4 partners. It has city involvement like yours, ARP funds, county involvement, and it's seeking tax credits from the state. And typically in development, you're bringing a lot of parties together. So all of the due diligence, the legal, accounting, the architecture and engineering, all of that's brought to the table to help produce a great product. So if you have any questions of me, there was a question from the audience about rents, what that 50% rent turns out to be. Today, the 50% median income in the city of Sandusky or Erie County is $29,000. And the 50% rent, including all utilities, is about $730. For our senior housing, we provide all the utilities, including Wi-Fi, cable, heat, air conditioning, water, because I think that makes it easier for seniors to pay one rent and know that all those pieces are covered. Questions?
Questions, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajano.
speaking of the affordability, now the affordability above that, what would be the income limits on that? The 50% and below you had mentioned, but above that, the other
Well,
16.
the other units would not have a rent or income certification. So it'd be closer to the market, but still, I don't know what the market would be, but it'd be higher than that.
Okay.
Probably $100 to $150 higher, be my guess.
And, I agree with Aaron. These are very, very complex projects, and it takes a lot to bring them together. And you sound like you've got some real expertise at doing that. The only other question I had, I think that's probably heated by a boiler now, isn't it?
It is, and we won't be using that.
That was going to be my question.
So it'll be an all-electric building because we're using high energy efficiency. That generates a tax credit as well. And we also are evaluating it for solar. We're putting solar power on all of our other housing. We have a separate division that just does that, and we're working with school systems as well. So we'd be anxious to pursue that elsewhere in the community, including your own facilities, where I don't want to make it into an advertisement, but it's an area of great significance, and it utilizes valuable investment tax credits just like the housing. So we just submitted 2 weeks ago for 9 projects, a 50% investment tax credit for solar. That reduces the energy cost by 20 to 30% over regular energy use. So that would be for schools, city, water treatment, everything.
Thank you.
Additional comments, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I believe Mr. Lamarca had a question. I was wondering if somebody could just offer him maybe a recap of sort of how we got here today. I think that might have been something his question was related to.
Prior, I don't mean to butt into your question, but I think the question was regarding transparency.
It was us.
And I'm not going to speak for you, I'm only going to speak for myself, and that is that deals like this cannot be done completely in the open for a variety of very good reasons. And that is that once the public begins to look at property or evaluate property, look like they're moving towards the property, it wrecks the market system. The market runs away from you. Is that your experience also?
Yes, sir. That is, and so as a business person, as I said, we've been working on this for over 2 years. We don't have site control.
Yes.
Your effort today helps us, but otherwise, all of our proprietary information, all of our feasibility, our economic analysis, what drove us to the purchase contract, all of that had to be done and we just had to expose it, without any kind of protection. So there is an ongoing dialogue that goes on among city staff, the school system, talking about it, doing our own evaluation involving architects and engineers and feasibility. An environmental study was done. Even going up in that attic, measuring it because you need a dry sprinkler. It's not usable space, but you still need to have a dry sprinkler system. So I walked away with that with it was beautiful, but it's another $95,000 of sprinkler system, so you got to pencil that in. Every day it's another discovery. So yes, that's my experience. So it's not an immediate process. I will say ongoing, it's highly transparent because of the cost certification. We're still subject to zoning, building codes, everything that you have to approve, including the rezoning of the property. So that is a very public, very forward-thinking process.
Sure. Additional comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
I want to thank both you and the staff for the hard work that's been put into this. This is obviously a major undertaking. And enough has been said about that. I do want to point out, as Ms. Gilson has in the communication to the commission, that this is a piece, and it's just a piece, in addressing a very large housing shortage that we have in our city, in our county, and really in the 4 or 5 county area. This is an important piece. To fill that gap, it's going to take projects like this. It's going to require lots and lots of different parts and pieces. We're not going to find one huge building that's going to come in and do all this. We don't want that anyway. So, but I want to thank you for the partnership. I'm looking forward to seeing this project completed.
Thank you very much.
Additional comments, Commissioners? If not, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Ms. Myers, will you call the roll on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Concludes our regular agenda. We'll turn to our city manager for his report.
Good evening, Commission, audience, and staff. I have 3 donations tonight. One is for the $1,200 for the K-9 Fund was received from Smith's Top Notch and the Remember Cruisin' Car Club. If I can get a motion, that's for the police department.
So moved.
Second.
On motion and a second discussion. Without objection, motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Our thanks.
Park and Recs would like to thank Sandusky Witches Walk for $3,157.56 donation, which will be used for some of the internet costs at the Sandusky Rec at Mills facility.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Our thanks again.
And lastly, the Parks and Rec would like to thank Construction Equipment and Supply for the in-kind use of a lift for the installation of the Christmas lights. The value of that was $1,050. Get a motion for that.
So moved.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Our thanks to Construction Equipment Supply.
From the Fire Department, in August of 2023, Sandusky Fire Department applied for a grant through the Erie County Community Foundation to purchase 100 lock boxes for residents' homes. Earlier this month, the Erie County Community Foundation awarded Sandusky Fire $1,825 towards the purchase of 50 lock boxes. In addition, the Randolph J. and Estelle M. Dorn Foundation awarded Sandusky Fire $1,825 toward the purchase of the remaining 50 lock boxes. Thank you to the Community Foundation and the Dorn Foundation for partnering with Sandusky Fire Department to bring medical treatment to the city's elderly residents as quickly as possible. The Finance Committee meeting will be on Friday, December 8th, 2023 at 8 a.m. at City Hall. And this is a general reminder since winter fastly approached. General reminder for property owners of vacant dwellings. If your dwelling is expected to remain vacant and unoccupied during the winter months, we highly recommend that you contact the city to turn off the water. This will help prevent your water lines from freezing and breaking, which would lead to costly repairs for the property owner. The Customer Accounting Office can be reached at 419-627-5893 to arrange water being turned off. Public Works, the Butler Street is paved with asphalt, but concrete repairs, topsoil, seeding, signs, and striping will keep it from being reopened. Great Lakes Demolition will be moving to Monroe Street Outfall Extension Project to install the storm sewer from Broadway to Cold Creek. Leaf collection is on schedule. Refer to www.cityofsandusky.com/leaf collection for dates for your particular area. The Perkins Ave and 52nd Street waterline paving, curb, and sidewalk work is essentially complete with only a small punch list from Mr. Klein remaining. And then Public Works would like to request a motion for permission to apply for and accept funds from the Ohio Department of Development for water and/or wastewater grants for projects planned in 2024, like the MacArthur Park infrastructure, Columbus Avenue, and the Landings project. If we can get a motion to.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. As far as you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
That motion is carried.
And that concludes my report for the evening. Take any questions that you have.
Comments or questions for the city manager, Commissioner? Not, we'll turn to old business. Commissioners, any items of old business? Any items of new business, Commissioners? Items of new business? I have an item that I'm going to need a little help with from our law department. We have the pleasure of swearing in commissioners, and I will turn to our law director to give us some specifics on that. I know that from past experience, I know that can be done ceremonially here at one of our meetings, which oftentimes we do on the last meeting of the year. It can also be done privately. Some commissioners have chosen to do that, but I will let our law director speak to exactly what's legal and what keeps us out of trouble.
Sure. Yeah, Ohio Revised Code 3.24 describes who can administer an oath for a newly elected official. And the technical answer is that only a notary public, Ohio notary public, an Ohio judge under the state of Ohio laws, a member of the Ohio General Assembly may all administer oaths, or an elected official, so long as the elected official is administering the oath to someone who is an elected official in the same jurisdiction. For example, a commission member could be sworn in by a sitting member of the Sandusky Commission. Those are the technical requirements. Although many communities, including ones I've served in the past, will have like a ceremonial oath that can be administered by anybody of the newly elected officials choosing, whether it's a family member or whoever. And then we can administer in the law department, if they choose, the official oath on the proper form so that it's all legal.
Excellent. I know that Commissioner Waddington has indicated that he's going to do his privately at the popcorn wagon, Mr. Waddington, is that correct?
There, the House of Donuts.
The House of Donuts, one or the other. And we'll leave it up to our other three commissioners to just let me know when you want to do it. We will set aside time at the last meeting of the year. If you choose to do it the last meeting, or just let me know how you want to do it. We'll get it set up. Additional items of new business. If not, we will entertain comments from the public regarding any item pertaining to city business.
Yes, Tim Schwanger, 362 Sheffield Way. I intended to discuss tonight the business grant program as well as a housing grant program, but you guys look like you're on your way to making some changes after the first of the year with the new city commission. It's, I guess better late than never. I mean, this probably should have been changed 7 years ago, but for whatever reason, it's been the same thing where it's a free grant. If you go back to before the grant started, we had a program called the Revolving Loan Fund. It was administered through CDBG. And under that agreement, I believe businesses were loaned money at a low interest rate. They paid it back, and that money was recycled to another business. This grant program should have probably been set up the same way. Looking forward to that into the future. it's a situation where it's unfortunate we decided, like somebody mentioned tonight, that we tabled this at the end of the year for a business that had already requested money. I would suggest that at the next meeting, you untable it and give them the grant that they require, that they ask for, and make changes for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwanger. Additional comments from the public on any item pertaining to city business? Not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.